Enrich in Latin America and the Caribbean. I am responsible for the management of the project and the activities throughout Latin America. We have a very interesting history, starting with Brazil, and we developed members in Brazil, as well as the support we have had from partners in Europe. This project is something that's supported and obviously very, very focused in innovation and bringing together Latin America and Europe innovators, companies, researchers, universities, to try to find ways on helping and providing the best possible solutions and increase the participation of each country and each region in innovative ways to support and to enlarge the innovation for the humanity. We are focused in a region, but obviously we are looking at opportunities to develop all the actions here together and finding ways, collaborative ways of putting people, companies together and develop opportunities. We are obviously focusing here in today's seminar, in today's webinar, in cities, in the possibility of developing opportunities and solutions for more innovative management of cities. But this is not the only thing that we are looking at as Enrich. We are looking at more global perspectives of innovation. Obviously, today we are looking at sustainable urbanization, but we are looking at health and bioeconomy. We are looking at renewable energy. We are looking at digital transformation and opportunities to develop in those specific areas, which are the focus of the European Union for innovation. So it's a pleasure to be here. I hope that everybody enjoys, let's say, the opportunities that will be presented and the focus that we are going to have, specifically in Uruguay, but obviously looking to Uruguay and looking from Uruguay to from the Uruguayan perspective to Latin America and Europe. So it's really a way of encountering opportunities and looking for ways to develop innovative opportunities together. So again, thank you very much for being here, everybody that's attending the webinar, and I'm going to pass the word so that we can go ahead and develop the works and the presentations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marco, for your welcome and presentation. Good morning or afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I am Carlos Vivar, Executive Secretary at Eurocámara Uruguay, which is the association that gathers the EU member states chambers of commerce in Uruguay. I also will be the moderator of the webinar this morning. So I was starting mentioning Eurocámara because in its role, Eurocámara looks for the strengthening of the economic and trade links between Uruguay and the European Union. And that is what we expect with this webinar. Both Uruguay and the European Union have a strong commitment on the green and digital transition of their economies. Uruguay has already made great progress towards becoming a more sustainable country. Just to mention as an example, linked to the content of this event, around 95% of its energetic matrix comes from renewable energy, therefore being a leader in the region. And also in this progress, Uruguay is also focused on the transformation of their cities into more sustainable areas. And this objective brings multiple opportunities to European and Uruguayan companies that are interested in joining these developments. So in order to discuss about these opportunities, today we count with an excellent panel of experts. First of all, just to start with it and to present the countries and its attractiveness, we would like to invite Maria Jose Graña. She's an investment specialist from Uruguay 21, which is the investment, export, and country brand promotion agency for Uruguay. So good morning, Maria Jose.
Good morning, Carlos, and good afternoon for some of the attendees. Well, I'm gonna try to share my screen. And well, my goal today is, I don't know, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, great, thank you. My goal today is just to give you some important ideas about Uruguay and its attractiveness to invest in. For European companies, Uruguay might be like an unknown country, but here's my goal, to give you information and good reasons to maybe think about Uruguay to grow your business here in the region too. So here are the main, Uruguay is positioned as the #1 business hub in LATAM, as a gateway to the region. The country is pretty tiny, but the markets around here are huge. So, and here are the main business models that a company can have from here. As some of you may know, Uruguay has been traditionally an agri-exporting country, but in the last decade, the global services sector has been very solid, and right now it's a third of our exports has to do with services and trading. Just to give you some logos and important companies that are here, global companies that are here and have chosen Uruguay to do different activities. You can see that there are different platforms to do business from here. One of them that is very used by global companies is the regional distribution center used in Uruguay in order to distribute to the region their goods. You have pharmaceutical like AstraZeneca or different global companies that are doing that from here. Then concerning global services and IT, important companies have a great number of employees working from here, providing services to their business in the region. BASF, maybe the chemical company from Germany, maybe they are like the iconic successful case. They have 850 people working from here, and they provide services to the whole region, to the whole Americas, from the States, the United States, to the south of Argentina. Then when we go to the production platform, in particular, I mean, there are many sectors well represented here, but in particular, the automotive sector, very well-known brands are here assembling cars or vehicles and in order to export to the region. Well, here is the country's value proposition. The most important one, I think, is the reliability aspect. Uruguay is a very stable and reliable country, and that goes over year after year. It remains stable politically, economically, and socially. Then access to markets, it's another attribute very important to take into account. And then incentives like tax benefits. Uruguay has different tax incentives for different activities. Then talent is also important here, and the lifestyle for sure. Montevideo in particular is the capital of the country, and it's a very nice place to live in. So here just to support why we say Uruguay is a reliable country. Uruguay ranks #1 in every index concerning low corruption perception, the democracy, also where we do pretty well in e-government, and we're always #1 in the region. Then we compare with European countries, we still perform pretty well. We're in the middle of the ranking. And not only Uruguay has managed to grow economically in the last 15 years, if we don't consider the pandemic for sure, but then we also managed to do it in the fairest way possible in the region. The distribution, the income distribution has been very fair always. And all this respect for the rule of law and the good handling of macroeconomic fundamentals explain why the credit rating agencies always give us the investment grade. And right now we are the only country in Mercosur that has this investor grade. And in the region, only Peru and Chile and Uruguay have it. When we also consider the quality of governance, environmental aspects, and social concerns, Uruguay also performs very well, leading among the emerging countries, but also when we compare to the most richest countries, we do pretty well too, at the same levels than they do. When we talk about the energy, Uruguay in the world is only behind Denmark concerning the renewables penetration. And right now, our electric matrix is 97% renewable. And the most recent announcement was the roadmap for the green hydrogen in Uruguay. So, like the supply side, we did pretty well, and now what is left to be done is to continue decarbonizing the economy, and we think that green hydrogen would be a great strategy, and because Uruguay has a great potential for power generation, given the combination of solar and wind that we have, and also because logistics and supply chain here are ensured, and we do well concerning the infrastructure and ports and etc. Then, well, why we say Uruguay is also a very easy and friendly country for most of all for foreign investors. Because here, a foreign investor receives the same benefits as a local one. Then the exchange market is completely free, so a company can, for instance, invoice in dollars, do their payroll in pesos, use an account in euros, and the company will have no worries to do that. Also, the tax system is the same in all around the country, so that makes things easier. And the profits have no limits to be repatriated. There are no restrictions on profits repatriation for companies. And any company who wants to start to run their business here, they don't need any local partner or whatever. It's just they set up their company and they can start operating here. Oh, no, what happened? Well, then, as I said earlier, the access to markets is very important here in Uruguay. Of course, we're a tiny country, but from here it's like a platform to reach huge markets around the region. We offer multimodal solutions, and the trade agreements we have, of course, Mercosur is maybe the most important, but also we have trade agreements with Mexico and with Chile. So this ensures a market of 400 million people, even if Uruguay, we are only 3 million people. Then we lead in communications too, concerning internet penetration, and the government has also been very developed and rapidly developed in the last, let's say, 10 years. When I was talking about talent, What I meant is that here the workforce is very well prepared, and they master, there's an important percentage of people that masters English, but also Portuguese, given our closeness to Brazil. So that's very important when we consider providing services to a market like Brazil. And also the Plan Ceibal has been like the one laptop per child program. We've been the first country to implement this in all levels of the public education. The literacy rate, we are #1 in the region too. And here the public education is free at all levels. Of course, we do have a private sector concerning education, but the public access is very democratic in Uruguay. Well, here are some of the tools that Uruguay 21, our agency, offers to a foreign company. We can give grants for training to the companies. We also have a recruitment website for global jobs, global services related jobs. And also we offer the fast track, and this means that we help foreign companies to bring their people from abroad with temporary residences and visas. When we said Uruguay is a nice place to live in, the Mercer Index is always picking Montevideo as the best city concerning the quality of life. Then now let's go deeper into the tax benefits Uruguay has to offer. The important thing here, it's too much information for a webinar, and I have restricted time. But the idea I want you to keep in mind is, for every operation or kind of activity that a company is thinking to run from here, there's a promotion regime specific for that activity. For instance, the regional distribution centers, what they use here is the free ports and airports law. That means that they can bring their goods and reducing their leading times for the other markets to reach the other markets, and they won't pay any taxes until these goods reach the market. Once they enter Uruguay, once they enter the different destination markets, that's when the company has to pay the taxes. But in the meantime, they can use the free port or an airport law, like to use it as a deposit and pay no taxes. Then the trading activity is also exempted as if companies can trade from here, just do the trading of goods or services. That means that as long as the goods don't pass through Uruguay, this is the trading regime, and they will pay less than 1% of the corporate income tax. Then software is also a promoted activity, so companies that are developing software in order to export, they will pay no taxes. And when we go to the production or manufacturing platform, from Uruguay, you can use the temporary admission. That means that all the inputs required to manufacture will pay no taxes as long as the input or the final product is re-exported. Okay, so it's exports oriented, this benefit. And once they export, they can get from 3 to 6% of export tax refund over the FOB value. And the automotive sector in particular reaches 10% of tax refund. Then regarding the cross-cutting investment promotion law, this means that any investment project, according to a set of indicators, they will get a final score, and depending on that score, the exemptions on the corporate income tax the project can get. These exemptions can go from 30% up to 100%, and the timeline can go from 4 up to 25 years for these exemptions in the corporate income tax. The free trade zone law, this is a cross-cutting too. It involves all the platforms, and this means that a company located in a certain free trade zone, they will pay no taxes at all. Well, here, going straight to the electric mobility aspect, just after me, Ariel is gonna present, but just to make a brief presentation on the situation, on the current situation of electric mobility here, I want to share some figures. In Uruguay, there are currently more than 130 charging points all around the country, but now there will be new call for proposals for private companies to offer these charging points, new charging points. Then electric buses are promoted, given that they receive subsidies to compensate the difference, the gap between electric and traditional passenger buses. And at present, there are 32 units of electric buses, but this is expected to grow very rapidly. Then there are 100 electric taxis in Montevideo. And concerning the investment promotion law that I mentioned before, electric vehicles for passengers is considered eligible investment, and it also applies for the cleaner technologies indicator. As I mentioned, there is a set of indicators to be considered in order to get exemptions. So these kind of technologies scores well in the set of indicators. Then electric vehicles, they currently they don't pay any taxes when they are imported, not the excise tax exemptions nor the custom duties taxes. And then there's this project MOVES that Ariel is represented here this morning, and he's going to be able to talk more about the project. Just wrapping up, here's the combination of attributes that Uruguay has to offer. And well, as I said before, mainly we're a stable country, a reliable country, where it is very easy to run any business. From here, you can reach different markets, and also there's a workforce that is very well skilled and concerning languages too. And here is like to summarize what you can expect from Uruguay 21, in particular from our investment team. We help the foreign company in their decision process. We try to provide all the information they need. And then if they decide to finally settle down here, we're going to help them with their lending. And after that, we also try to go with the company in the aftercare, trying to help her with any challenge she can have, and try to also seek for new opportunities along with the foreign companies. We also I think the most valuable thing besides information is that we do very well with the linkage between private and public sector. We try to be the bridge between the government and the private companies, and I think we do it very well. Well, here's my information, my contact information, and well, thank you for listening. And I think that if you have any questions or comments or whatever, we're gonna discuss at the end, right?
Yeah, thank you, Maria Jose, for your presentation and the information shared about Uruguay. Now, I truly believe Uruguay is under the radar of the companies that are listening to us. And as you mentioned, and I forget to mention at the beginning of the webinar, we will have a small part at the end of the webinar for question and answer. So if you have any question after any of the presentations, you can put it on the specific part of the platform, and we will look at them at the end of the webinar. And to continue with this morning and to discuss about what is Uruguay currently doing in the field of electric mobility and what are the opportunities for companies, we would like to welcome Ariel Alvarez. He's a project leader of MOVES, which is a main project in Uruguay towards efficient and sustainable mobility. So good morning, Ariel.
Okay, nice, right. Okay, can you hear me, Dad? It's okay? Okay.
Yes,
okay.
We can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so good morning, everyone. Thank you very much, the European Chamber for the invitation. For us, for me, it's a pleasure, but for MOVES also it's very important to introduce these concepts because what we can do is create this type of the idea is to make this work. We need companies to do all this. So Maria Jose, she presented a very good introduction of what it's Uruguay. I will be focused on energy and obviously on mobility, which is our working axe. As it was said, in Uruguay, we have renewable energy to produce electricity. And now it's quite obvious, but it's important also to remark it. We need to focus on mobility because 60% of petrol is consumed there, and also emissions between near to 60% also are produced by mobility, and that's why all this policy is so important for us. MOVES is a UNDP project with GF funds, international funds. It's been a project of 5 years, and we are working in the environmental ministry and the energy ministry and also housing ministry. And our objective is to promote sustainable and efficient mobility. We focus on active mobility, on electric mobility, thinking firstly in goods, and also as technology is evolutioning also for persons. And we also focus a lot in what it is public transportation, active mobility and public transportation, as they are call it the most democratic way for mobility, and so incrementing their conditions is a way to answer to the needs and the right of people to move in the cities. This is a picture of some few years before. In Uruguay, we had only 30 taxis, some connecting points, one electric bus. And it was introduced as the first net of charging points in South America, and you can see that we can count them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6. So this was 2018. Today, Maria Jose said some of these things. We already have more than 140 charging points. We have more of 100 electric buses. We have 35, taxis, I said. We have more than 35 electric buses. I'm focusing in these two things, taxis, but mostly in buses. The important thing is that these buses, I will talk about that lately, but was to create the conditions to make them arrive. I will explain it, and also to create also a knowledge on this. When we brought these electric buses, we thought it as something experimental, if we can call it like that, with proven technology, but to learn. And so all these buses, the companies that own them and are operating them, they gave us the information about the kilometers, daily kilometers, and also the consumption. So today we have all this information in Uruguay, and we know also that it's economically to have an electric bus compared to a diesel bus. So that's why today the governments are thinking to increase this, obviously, but also to stop the Uruguay to buy diesel buses, and the idea is to continue only with electric buses. It's ambitious, but in any case, I think it could be something very, very, very important. So where are we working? We work in technological and regulatory aspects. We are working in urban infrastructure, and as I said, in how to promote sustainable mobility through infrastructure. And also we are working in capacities, how to create local capacities and cultural change. Why I mentioned cultural change? Because this also needs to go from people to the state, from people to the companies. People need to understand the importance of efficiency and sustainable mobility, and how we can create opportunities to them through this, to have a better place to live, but also how to create, how shops can be created there. And so there's a lot of things there. Uruguay, as it was introduced, has one of the best tax framework. Nearly all the taxes are eliminated when you want to buy the electric vehicles. We are just approved the regulations of Euro 5, and we want to see to increase this. We have a connectors regulations. We have the labeling of vehicles that will be introduced next year. We also been working to create the battery management regulation framework. We are working in retrofit normative also. We produce some studies there. And also for me, it's always important to introduce that we also produce a study of the opportunities that I could have Uruguay to take the UN agreement of 1985 based on safety and environmental regulations. So as you can see, we are putting a lot of things that need to be studied, like ambitious working framework. Okay, we have some studies also in produced from MOVES. Fiscality is very important to look the fiscality in every country. This is what we done in Uruguay, because sometimes it's not current with what we wanted to do. We produce with another project from from European funds a guide how to develop mobility infrastructure, sustainable mobility infrastructure. We also some studies on the quality indicators for transport for buses. Where I will mention it, a study on comparative noise produced by these electric buses that are working today in Uruguay and diesel buses. And also, okay, some externalities also study that this is what we are doing it today. Again, the idea is to look all the mobility, all the aspects, and how we can get the best framework to develop this in Uruguay. This is another program that is quite innovative here, and that's why I wanted to present it. Moves create, we have some agreements with renting companies. These renting companies, they bought electric vehicles, cars, and these vans, and they rented to any other company, and we pay this renting. This renting. So any company in Uruguay today, they can have an electric vehicle to test it for 1 month, and it will be free for them. The idea is because we with all the studies, as I mentioned before, we know for a lot of users in Uruguay is even more economic to use an electric vehicle than to use a diesel one or a combustion one. We say, if this is even more economic, it's better for the environment. It's even better for the persons that are using them. So social benefits, environmental benefits, but also economic benefits. Why they are not using them? And we said maybe because they don't know it, and that's why we create this program. And as I said, any company in Uruguay can test for 1 month for free one of the vehicles that we have with the agreements here in Moves. Last Friday we gave 10 vehicles, and we arrived to 100 actually. This number. A lot of all these pictures are in the website of Moves, and you have it in English. So, so you can hear it now in my poor English, but also you can go there and read it with more time. Just here, sorry, the numbers of how much kilometers were produced with these vehicles, the number of tests, as I said, today we are in 100. And this figure that we have it in the right shows the economics. This is the cost of operation of gasoline, diesel, and an electric one. Today in Uruguay, for each kilometers is nearly between 8 and 10 times more economic to use an electric vehicle. For buses, as Maria Jose also introduced it, it was created a subsidy that gave to the companies that the operating companies, because they own the buses, the difference of price between a diesel bus and an electric bus. This means when these companies bought an electric bus, they will pay it at the same price if they had bought a diesel bus. As I said, the most important part of this was to create knowledge on that, and that's why we are having all this information of the experience. It's also important to mention, because they say, oh, you are creating this subsidy, maybe it's a lot of money. Today, as a lot of countries in Europe, I think all the countries have that. I lived some years in Europe, so I have this information. Public transportation is subsidized. Here in Uruguay also is subsidized. The problem is that it was subsidized by the consumption of diesel. When it was created, it was normal, because you say, which is the cost that the company can't work with it, diesel. So today in Uruguay, we give money for each liter of diesel consumed by all the buses of the diesel buses that are working in Uruguay. The idea was to say, to look, okay, how much money we are spending on buses, on diesel buses in the whole life. And with the economic ministry of Uruguay, we say, okay, this is the amount of money that we are spending in this diesel bus. If we put it together, do we have enough money to buy an electric bus? And it was confirmed. And this is the chart. The blue part is the money that puts the state on the to subsidize a diesel bus or an electric bus. So today, Uruguay, the idea, the only question is that, okay, I will spend this money on bus. How I will spend it? To make these companies buy an electric bus, or to spend it every day to consume diesel in an old bus? So the answer is quite easy. And all the other ones is the operations, the economics of the companies. And we also could prove that for the company, for the operator company, also is more economic to have an electric bus than a diesel bus. And that's why we expect that from this year to introduce a new subsidy for buses and to start exchanging from 100 to 150 buses every year until we change all the buses in Uruguay. Just a last thing on that, when these first buses were brought, there were 3 companies from China, BYD, Xudong, and Ankai. But in the last conversation that we have this year, there are a lot of other extra zones from China. What I mean is mostly from Europe that are interested in there. So I think there's an opportunity here also. This is the study that we produce. You can see that it's not only emissions that we eliminate when you pass to an electric bus. Also, you reduce very importantly noise, and this is very important for also. So to be short, so we can go to the other parts. The next steps. And knowing also that Moves is finishing its 5 year of work this year, we think and what is being done for the energy ministry to continue working on economic incentives. This is something that it's new, but also that have this particular thing that is expensive to buy. And after that, it's not expensive to operate it. So it's you need to find a way to make these vehicles arrive in Uruguay. One other figure that it was before, in Uruguay, every year we multiply by 4 the number of electric vehicles that are sold in Uruguay. And again, an opportunity. When I talk with vehicle sellers, I mention every time, every vehicle that was imported to Uruguay, electric vehicle, has been sold. What I mean is we are not selling more electric vehicles in Uruguay because we are having a restriction to import them. So again, you have an opportunity here. We are also working a lot in alternatives. We think for companies, it's not only by buying the electric vehicles. That's why it was so important to create this program by renting. There's a lot of exoneration taxes to buy a vehicle, but sometimes little companies can't buy, but they can rent them. And so that's why it's important to expand the use of electric vehicles through renting. As I said, we're working a lot in how to manage the vehicle batteries, and also chatarization, I don't know how to say that, the old vehicles, how they will be managed. as I said, urban plans to promote sustainable mobility. And another things that I think it's also a very good opportunity. This year we will have a capacitation centrum on electric mobility. With IDB, with the bank IDB, we went for some German funds actually that we got them, and we are looking to create to bring some knowledge on this from some other country to create this electric mobility to these capacitations here in Uruguay. And also this is quite recent also, we create a table to discuss between public and also private companies to how to look what it can stop this, because we wanted to eliminate all the barriers to develop what it is electric mobility, and we also think in Uruguay as a place where you can show technologies how can be developed with all the knowledge that we have in ITs and also in renewable energy. We can introduce, put that together with electric mobilities and sustainable mobilities and create a pole of development, as you have also in some experience in Germany and maybe other countries in Europe. So we think Uruguay can be really a place to develop this from by knowledge, by development of technology and all that. So this was my presentation, and I will be for you very happy to answer questions.
Thank you, Ariel, for the information. It is really outstanding the work that MOVES is developing, and we expect more and more actions to be implemented, and that more companies can join these challenges. So finally, in order to better understand who we can address and which our key partners in the country, we would like to introduce Franziska Gruber. She is Services and Sustainability Manager at the German Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Uruguay. So good morning, Franziska.
Good morning and good afternoon to everyone. Thank you very much, Carlos, for the introduction. First of all, I would like to thank Enrich and the Euro Chamber for the invitation. As you said, Carlos, I'm here to tell you a bit more about who are your partners in Uruguay, who you can contact, who is there for you to receive you, to help you enter the market and get established in Uruguay. So we've already heard from Maria Jose Graña and Ariel Alvarez that obviously Uruguay 21 and the MOVES project are very important key partners when it comes to entering Uruguay. And if you have any questions about electromobility and what is happening, what are the trends, I'm sure they're happy to answer any questions you might have on this webinar later and also afterwards. Now I would like to give you a short overview of what we do at the German Uruguayan Chamber of Commerce and who we work with in terms of sustainable cities and electromobility, and how also the German Chamber or other international chambers might be an interesting local partner for you. So the AHK Uruguay, or the German Uruguayan Chamber of Commerce, is the biggest binational chamber in Uruguay and also the most active one. We are in a network of 140 offices in 92 countries, which means in your European countries, you're most likely also to have a German chamber, and in other Latin American countries, there's also a German chamber that can help you to set up your business, to export, to get to know new customers, or to help you just with anything you might need. And we were in very close contact with other chambers, which makes it very interesting for international companies in the European market or in the Latin American market to get in touch with us. As I said, we're quite active. We provide different online courses. We host different events and networking spaces. Last year it was 28 events in which over 30,000 people participated. We represent German exposition and trade fairs in Uruguay, and we also help you with any questions you might have regarding foreign trade. When it comes to sustainability and electromobility, I want to show you a few activities, a few events, a few things we do and work on, and with whom in Uruguay we work on, because I think that gives you the best overview who to contact and who the players in these specific areas are. So one example is the Sustainable Cities Forum that we host every year, or we have hosted every year for the last decade. So last year in 2020 was our 11th forum. We do that in collaboration with different German and Uruguayan partners. Last year, over 100 people attended in person and over 4,000 spectators attended virtually. So we do these events in a hybrid format. The topics were e-mobility, circular economy, waste management, and renewable energies and hydrogen. So we had different speakers from Uruguayan companies, from Uruguayan organizations, from the government. The Uruguayan environmental minister was also doing an interview at the event. These events are just very interesting for European companies to learn about what is happening in Uruguay, what are the developments, what are the necessities of the market, where's innovation needed. But also, if you are in Uruguay, it's a possibility to show what you're doing, what is happening, and get an outreach and just collaborate or network with the participants that are there. Next up, I want to show you the Sustainable Mobility Forum that we are hosting together with other international chambers of commerce, European chambers of commerce. We started this forum in 2020 together with the French Uruguayan Chamber of Commerce, the Italian Uruguayan Chamber of Commerce, and the Chamber of Commerce that kind of combines all Northern European countries, such as Sweden, Denmark, Finland, Norway, etc., as well as other local organizations such as UTE, the Uruguayan Energy Company, and El País, newspaper, big newspaper from Uruguay. So last year in a 3-day event cycle, we organized lectures by different specialists to talk about passenger transportation, electric cars, cargo transportation, hydrogen, and different financing modalities of the Uruguayan market. And that again is a forum that we are repeating this year. The next version is probably happening at the end of November. Moving on, I would like to also point out a few activities that Ariel has already mentioned in his presentation at the end. The AHK Uruguay is also working together with Moves and many other companies that you can see on the slide on a dual professional training program specifically designed for electromobility. There we work together with 2 different Uruguayan universities as well, the Universidad Tecnológica del Uruguay, UTEC, and the Universidad de Trabajo del Uruguay, UTU, 2 very practical focused universities that are leading education in Uruguay. And last but not least, we are also working with other national institutions, MOVES, and a working group or a coordination desk on a training center in electromobility financed by the Inter-American Development Bank, such as Ariel said. So we are currently developing a training center for the development of an innovative education system. Yeah. If you have any further questions or if you'd like to get in touch, don't hesitate. Feel free to reach out, and give the word over to Carlos in case you have any questions.
Thank you, Francisca, for the information. And as she mentioned, apart from the German Chamber of Commerce, there are other European Chamber of Commerce in Uruguay. All of them gathers in Eurocámara. There is the Nordic country, the Spanish, French, Italian, Portuguese, Polish, and Czech chambers of commerce. So any of them would be really happy to assist you in any question that you may have, or if you want to come to Uruguay, apart from the other organizations that partners that Francisca mentioned. So I don't know if there is any question that is the time to do it. If not, I believe we can just say, do not hesitate to contact any of these organizations. I believe we are truly here to attend all these European companies that would like to come to Uruguay to install or to do any kind of business with the country. So I think all was clear from our part. I just have one question, and that is for any of the speakers. Any of you can answer it. I think we have seen through all the presentations that there is an important promotion from the public sector, from the government of Uruguay, to perform all these transition towards a more sustainable country. But I would like to ask how the private sector is receiving it. It is closely working with the public sector. It is positively considering all these new policies, all these new laws, all these new challenges that are arising from these changes, from this transformation of the economy. So yeah, that was my question. How is the balance between the public and the private sector considering these issues? I don't know if any of you would like to answer.
Well, I can say from the agency, we've been receiving a lot of interest, more focused on electric vehicles assembly here in order to redistribute from here. And that's what we have received. I mean, the focus of interest has been there from the private sector.
Okay. If I can add some concepts on that. I think Uruguay, as it was introduced in the presentation, we have a very interesting framework to develop companies here. But on top of that, I think maybe one of the most important things is that we have also we create the different ways to create dialogue between public sector to private companies, to receive also questions, to receive propositions, to receive okay, what it is needed. So as here the German chamber is a good example, but also we talk a lot. We talk also with other obviously European chambers, but we talk also, as I said, where we create this electromobility table. We think something similar is need to be created also with hydrogen. But as you know, the policy that is being introduced in hydrogen is to make it through private companies. So the dialogue between public sector in Uruguay and private companies is very rich, is very fluid, and I think this is something that needs to continue.
Great. Francisca,
yes,
would you like to add?
I can just underline what both said. There's a very fluid talk that we are also guiding and leading through our chamber. We've seen much interest from European companies going into the Uruguayan market. Just one example, Volkswagen, for example, chose Uruguay out of all countries in Latin America to do a pilot for electric vehicles, selling electric vehicles in Uruguay. That's just a very, very clear example of the interest in the market.
Great.
Carlos, sorry, I have just one comment here. Obviously, this webinar is focused on possible or potential companies or researchers or investors from Europe. But obviously, Uruguay is also attractive for other countries in Latin America. So certainly, if we have in the audience also people from other countries in Latin America, I'm sure that there's going to be open doors in Uruguay for any other country that's interested. But obviously, today the focus and the objective here is to show the potential for the European countries, I guess. So just this comment.
Yeah, thank you, Marco. Exactly. I truly believe any country that a company from any country that might be interested would be very welcome in Uruguay. So we ran out of time. This is the end. Thank you everyone for joining this webinar. We hope it was interesting and you had a better opportunity to understand the transition that Uruguay is developing concerning electric mobility and how European and other companies can be involved. I would like to thank you, my colleagues from Enriching LAC, from contacting us, for organizing this webinar and allowing us from Eurochamber to co-organize the event. Also thanking Maria Jose, Ariel, and Francisca for positively answering our participation requests and sharing with all of us all this useful information. I would like to remind that after the end of this webinar, a survey will arrive to your emails, and we really appreciate if you could answer it so we can improve for future opportunities. And as stated, we remain at your disposal. Do not hesitate to contact us, and we hope to see you again in future events and opportunities. I don't know, Marco, if you would like to wrap up with a few words.
Sure. Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, Ariel. Thank you, Francisca and Maria Jose. I think it was a very, very interesting and attractive presentation that people certainly that are the participants enjoyed. And we are also we are having this recorded, so we are also going to be that available for other interested people in Europe that were not able to attend, and certainly they are going to be very attracted for the information and for the opportunities that were presented here. So appreciate a lot the effort, appreciate a lot the exchange, and let's keep in touch with the participants and also from you guys from Uruguay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Pleasure.